Greetings, beautiful people. Your favorite pundits, Neon and Tanna Valentine, at your service. And today we're going to talk about makeup. That's right, we're not going to do makeup. We're going to talk about makeup. Makeup is something we often do on autopilot, right? Meanwhile, if you add a little twist of mindfulness to that autopilot process, you won't believe what you can discover about yourself. And so today we are going to take it at our usual angle, from the standpoint of living our life creatively, right? The life is cake perspective, and using creativity as a vehicle for self-improvement, enjoyment, escapism, socializing and building community around you, right? And finally, what we need most, all of us, especially Tanna Valentine, therapy. Just to give you a couple of these avenues for thought, right? And then we're just going to chat, simply share things, right? But these avenues. So when we are little girls, we play with makeup. And I think we play with it so eagerly because we try to glimpse the grown-up persona in ourselves, right? So we're experimenting, looking for that grown-up person inside our little creature persona. Then, as we are grown-ups already, we keep experimenting with this at the angle of image building, self-expression probably, but also what kind of persona we're projecting. And so one question that is really important here, are you doing this for yourself or for others? Are you doing it because you enjoy it? Or are you doing it because you are manipulating others into perceiving you a particular way? You see, makeup is very much like other activities, like cooking and dancing in particular. You know why? Because with all these activities, you have a full range from completely casual and almost autopilot, right, to full-blown art. Makeup is art that we as women do every day, right? So, therapy. And this is something that is most astonishing. And I wanted to mention it early on, just because if you are not convinced that you need to give some thought about this daily activity, you should. How about the fact that makeup is actually recommended now by a lot of therapists, shrinks, right? As a way for people to get out of this negative feedback loops. You know what it is? When you kind of, for instance, your thoughts go back to the same negative idea. Maybe you're blaming yourself for something that is not exactly in your control. Maybe you have self-doubt that is gnawing at you deep inside. Just maybe pessimism because of whatever, hormonal change, and you're a little depressed, and the thought goes back and back to the same thing. Well, apparently there is research that shows that these loops, they're also connected to your physical self-expression. You can be doing something with your hands at the same time. Maybe you're pulling your hair, you're rubbing your eyes, you're picking at your nails or something. And it's been shown that if you break that physical loop, then it also breaks the neurological loop, the bad habit of your brain. You see, so what actually shrinks do, they train women at that moment, if this happens, play with your makeup. Like experiment, try a new eyeshadow or something. It gives you something to do with your hands, and it gets your mind, it immediately puts an end to that negative feedback loop. Another amazing thing about it is that when you touch yourself, when somebody touches you, right, your body immediately produces one of those neuropeptides, oxytocin, you know, the cuddle hormone that makes you feel good, helps your body relax. So apparently this is another thing about makeup, why it is recommended as a form of therapy. You know, it's just this touch. It is also a ritual. It is kind of ritualized form of self-care. Something that you do step by step. And there is another research that I checked out for you guys. apparently, any multi-step processes, like if you need to do this, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then you do that, and then you do that, any multi-step process, our brain perceives as much more effective than non-multi-step. And it also perceives us as being much more in control. How about that? So when you're doing your makeup, you're collecting and mobilizing yourself to face the world. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it worth giving a little bit of thought, switching the mindfulness action at that moment to just think about it? So as we chat, keep this in the back of your mind, these avenues of thought, right?
I love makeup. I really do love makeup. I've loved it since I was fairly young, but not like, you're not like a baby young. I mean, coming from a pretty strict Catholic background, although my mom was awesome, but I wasn't really allowed to wear makeup until high school. And as someone who was a very, very ugly duckling, I mean, an ugly duckling in a very small pond, shall we say, like where I grew up, which was a fabulous place, but a very, very narrow definitions of what was acceptable, of what was acceptable as beauty, which I can tell you, aside from the fact that I actually was a very ugly duckling, but beauty where I grew up was a tall, slim, blue-eyed blonde. And that was really it. And in fact, if you had like really dark hair, as I did, which was in the minority of our population, certainly at that time, you already kind of had a mark against you. But at any rate, when I was in high school, I went to a modeling program. I actually went through a series of them in what would be middle school, although we didn't have that when I grew up, high school, and in college. I actually was enrolled in them. And there was a vogue. I mean, you might not remember, but there was a certain vogue some years ago for these, be a model or just look like one. Not a finishing school, but learning how to dress, how to accessorize, put things together. And a big component of this, proper hairstyles, was makeup. And this particular woman that taught it, so in this rural town in Montana, where you might not expect it, she actually had been a working fashion model in California for some years. And she taught a wonderful, wonderful program that to me was very, very helpful. And so for me, makeup is, I enjoyed it creatively. I love the aesthetics. I love the aesthetics of the packaging. The eyeshadows and all the pretty colors, and in
like
those
candy.
Yeah, and it's not just that it's pretty colors, which I adore color, and they're nicely confined in their little tins, further confined in this little case. And there's something that is just inherently appealing about that whole thing to me. So to go through this woman and have this training, which really was, like a professional grade training, I want to say, learning how to do what at that time was we called it contour makeup. Now that's very different from what makeup artists do now, this extremely, heavy over the top contouring. It was more using light and dark to work with the contours of your own face and just learn your own face, what you like, enhance, what you don't like, downplay, and just very much tailored to self. So it was great because as I'm in high school and now the braces come off and you get the contact lenses, and learning how to use makeup, not too much through trial and error, because I actually had training at that point in time. And then I was very interested in it. In fact, briefly I did consider, doing cosmetology or being a makeup artist. And I would make up all my friends. Not that I had that many, actually, because I wasn't ugly duckling and that wasn't cool. I was also a nerd. But I studied a lot. So at this point, I've actually now forgotten the original question. But makeup to me has always been a fun creative pursuit, because I love that transformative nature of makeup. Because even before I liked makeup, I loved dressing up. And dressing up wasn't just putting on the pretty dress, it was creating art to me of here's the dress and the earrings, and now here's we're going to pose it against this tree that's in bloom. And And it became this whole artistic end product that you're going to get that's visual, very, very visual. So now, using it on self, it does become transformative. And it became, obviously, as it does, I think, for many women, for someone who is a habitual makeup wearer, and almost every day, not every single day, to be honest, it does become simply part of who you are. It's like, that is my public face. All right, my public face has makeup on it. So if I'm going to work, I'm going out the door, public face goes on. The same as I pretty much never leave my house without earrings and perfume. All right, yeah, but to each their own. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone must wear makeup. You know, my own sister does not wear makeup. I mean, she wears it, but not on a daily basis, not at all.
So it's interesting that you mentioned you hide something you don't like about your face. You bring forth the features you do like, but it's not just this kind of aesthetics that is oriented to beauty, right? We also manipulate the perception of others through our makeup. You can make a makeup that is soft and feminine and or sultry and sexy, or it can be maybe slightly more edgy and masculine and have this sort of like authoritative twist to it. So that definitely exists too. Now, the question that I want to ask is, so for instance, still to explore, are you doing it for yourself or to manipulate others, right? So if you are home alone, are you wearing makeup? If you need to, we live here in New York City in big apartment buildings, so I can take my garbage to the garbage room, and what if I meet some neighbors in the hallway? Well, guess what? I will not face my neighbor without makeup. Again, in the street here, maybe if you live suburban lifestyle, then you're in the bubble of your own car, and you can be sitting there without shoes and in pajamas if you need to take your kid to school. Not a big deal. But when I take my kid to school, I'm in my full makeup, dressed to the nines, in my high heels, delivering the kid to school. And I have to walk the streets. I take a cab or I take public transportation. I can't drive, and I don't own a car here in New York City. So now let me answer this question first.
I wouldn't dare stop you.
Do I wear makeup when I'm home alone? Yes. Here is the reason. The reason is makeup creates my work persona. You see, I work at home, but it's not like working at home. It's real work. At 8 o'clock, I'm at my desk. I'm in full makeup, elegantly dressed, and in my high heels, and there's nobody around me, just me. But when I put my makeup, what I realized years ago, because my work is always entrepreneurial. I don't have a boss. I don't have environment. I work on my own. So when I do my makeup, I both create my work persona, and I also mobilize myself for work. I noticed that, for instance, if I know that in the course of the day I will have some tasks that involve some confrontational aspects to them, my makeup comes out a little different, and this is another aspect of it. Another reason why I wear makeup at home, no matter what, is I live with two guys, my son and his dad, and to lead them toward better life, I have to project an authoritative persona. You see, so they never see me without makeup, never. Makeup, high heels, well put together, then they listen to me. You know what I discovered last time when we had Halloween party and I was wearing a crown? I discovered that when I wear a crown, they listen to me more. How about that? Of course, makeup is an important part of that. There is another thing. I walk around my apartment, I glimpse myself in the mirror. So it's not that I'm projecting a particular persona to just, people around me. I'm basically projecting it to myself. It also gives me the confidence that I am who I believe I am. I see that person in the mirror looking that way, and yes, everything's good. That's me. That's how things are supposed to be. Another amazing thing that I discovered thinking about it at some point is that I think my parents, maybe early on, when I was maybe a teenager or young adult, they started looking at the signs. Like they want to know, is their kid okay? Is she sad and is not sharing? Or is she truly happy and okay? So they would look at elements such as, grooming. Are my nails done? Is my hair like okay? The makeup and everything. They started looking at those signs. And the moment they see some flaw somewhere, they will be very, very worried about me. Is everything okay? Is there something you're not telling us? So I learned to present myself to my parents in this also extremely flawless way. And that's how my parents presented themselves to me. Isn't it interesting? My mother has always put a lot of emphasis on fashion, makeup, self-presentation of her to me. Just simply because that was her way of signaling that everything is okay in her life. No need to worry about your parent. Isn't it astounding? So now let's ask Tanna Valentine if she's one of those crazy people who puts on full makeup to take garbage out.
No. For a period of time, and not that long ago, yes. If my public self was leaving the apartment, if I'm leaving the apartment, I'm in the public. So if I went down and checked my mail, I would be a little uncomfortable to not have my makeup on. So, well, yes, I have to say, if I'm going to encounter other people, I'm more likely to want makeup on.
I knew.
But lately, and just pretty recently, the past couple of years, for a variety of reasons, I've really eased up on that. If I'm home alone, no makeup on. Absolutely not. Because to me, who I am, I had a very different mother. My mom barely wore makeup, and my mom was a beautiful woman. But she was just not about it. My mother was, be neat, be clean, be tidy, of course. But the vanity of personal appearance, the vanity of how you look, which to her was like largely an accident of fate, you know? You get played a certain hand here. You get dealt a certain hand here, you got to play it. She just wasn't about that. She was really about character. So, you know, are you happy or you sad? Well, first of all, you would just tell her. We have very frank and open conversations in my family about like anything. I don't think there was ever too much mystery about how anybody in my family was ever feeling. So no, I don't, as much as I love makeup, and I do, I like to have a rest. You know, I don't want to have, I have other things to do, so I don't want to take the time to put it on. I don't want to spend the product, like waste the product putting it on. And I like my skin to not have those particular chemicals that are in that particular makeup, which is going to be on my face solid 5 days a week, solid. I like it to not have it on.
Well, isn't your makeup somewhat different though, depending on the context? Like maybe if you're going in the street, it's very light touch kind of makeup, then maybe it is something else for work, something else, of course, as in our professional career, because we both come from professional dance background, so the stage makeup is a big thing. So, you know, for work, we are made up, you know, crazy made up for stage, right? So we're not discussing that. But when you go and present yourself for people in business, right, that would be a different makeup, right? If you're going to a party or you're going for a date, it will be different makeup.
Well, I think the whole point is, and this actually goes back to that fabulous instructor I had back in high school, is it appropriate to the situation? So what makeup to you is appropriate to the situation? I mean, my standard everyday go-to-work makeup, and I had just mentioned this to someone not long ago, where I was like, well, you know, I try to look my best every day. And then I stopped and I thought about my makeup routine. I thought, you know, no, actually, I don't really try to look my best every day. It would require more makeup and more time, and I don't care that much. I mean, I want to look good enough, well enough, adequate enough to my job, because, and again, and there is, I think, an important distinction here to be made. Nobody has to wear makeup. This is about you. What's inside of you? What is your take on this? And I think there can be dangerous waters here of making up to please other people. Hey, put clown makeup on if that's what makes you happy and it's appropriate to your situation, or put no makeup on, although please, everybody, sunscreen for your own sake, and leave the house. So that's kind of part of this. To me, everyday makeup, my daily makeup, like, is not that different from like party makeup. And then you go higher and it's filming or photo makeup and performance makeup, but less product, lighter colors, what's going to get me out the door quickly, but still have what I consider to be my suitable public persona on. That's my armor is in place. It's part of the whole uniform of the day.
I would say, unfortunately, my makeup is pretty much the same most of the time too. But and the reason, of course, is that most of the time I have to take my kid to school. I have literally like 5 minutes to do makeup. So anyway, I learned to do makeup so fast, but it streamlined it. It's extremely simple. And because of that, that's how I go around my all day with this very simple makeup. Meanwhile, I think, there are really amazing things. We all know, for instance, most of us have played with fantasy makeup, right? So that is like completely escapist activity, art. It's a real form of art. Meanwhile, we also experiment with how we look, what kind of persona we project. Think about this, for instance, your sexy makeup, like if it is a date or sexy party, right? What do? We will make our brows, maybe eyebrows will be kind of like pointier and sharper and longer. There will be smoldering eyes with a lot of shading, making a more, powerful, bigger, deeper set look, right? There will be probably some shading around the face, making your features, like less baby fat, more like sharp, bony structure. The lips, you can use maybe some red or some darker color, again, making it slightly more vampish and kind of like interestingly dangerous. Meanwhile, do you know that there is research that shows that people establish the trustworthiness of a face in 100 milliseconds? It's like before your brain thinks of anything. They establish it by the facial features. And the facial features are the exact opposite of what we do when we look like a sexy seductress on a date. First of all, your eyebrow needs to be not pointy, it needs to be straight or very flowing, not pointing down, but pointing straight or even pointing up. So the features have to be kind of soft, like almost babyish, very feminine features. A lot of clean real estate around your eyes. Eyes have to be in a lot of light for people to kind of look at you and immediately establish that you're a trustworthy person, right? Soft features of the mouth, so that sharply outlined red mouth simply doesn't work here, So that's when you think about it. Or for instance, the features of the face. Again, it's been shown that faces that are kind of more soft and rounded are perceived as more trustworthy, while faces that are more elongated are perceived as smarter. Katie?
Strange.
Yeah, but this is like,
Never
these are
heard that
features
research,
that
yeah.
cannot be changed, but you can manipulate it with your makeup. So if you are going to a job interview, you kind of need a longer face, right? If you are going to ask for credit, maybe you need a rounder face. And what happens when you're going on a date? I mean, if you think a person is judging sexiness, then maybe yes, you should have that, pointy eyebrow, like a sexy Victorian vampire, and that kind of look. But what if a person is like looking for a trustworthy companion in marriage and long life relationship? I mean, what about that? You need to have that traditional innocent look. That's the whole point of trustworthy innocent look. People trust people who look like women or babies, who have this open, trustworthy, like that person will not betray me, that person will not come up with something, that person will not lie look. So makeup should be different, and it should be premeditated. It should be different when you're going on a job interview, and it should be different depending on what kind of environment and what impact.
Yeah, appropriate to the circumstance. Although, people should be smart and don't judge the book by its cover. Whatever's on your face.
It's subconscious. People, it's subconscious. This is research about something that happens before you start thinking. You already know whether you're going to say yes or no to that person.
So as much as I love makeup and have worn it and continue to wear it and plan to keep on wearing it, I will say that, like we were just discussing, I've become more lenient in it. Well, lenient. I mean, I'm the one in charge. I never did makeup for other people. I did it for me because I enjoyed it, and that's, as I say, my presentation. But it has changed a lot recently. We get older. That's it. You can take the best care of your skin, best care of yourself, and we should. We want to be healthy and strong, fit. This vessel is all we've got. We need it to be as great as we can as we get older, but we have to be looking for the changes. And we were doing a filming or a photo shoot or something. I don't remember, but it was definitely for photo makeup. And I'm doing my makeup the way I'd been doing it for years, and it's ritualistic, yeah, and you're kind of on autopilot, yeah. And get to the end, I generally do my eyes last, and all of a sudden I'm looking, and like the foundation and the products I'd used, it was ghastly. Ghastly. I mean, I had, unfortunately,
you never look ghastly.
Well, I covered it up, but it was a disaster. I didn't need a disaster when I had to be out the door in like 20 minutes. So, you do what you can do. But I already had been thinking of, all right, I am getting old, and you start to read the tips, for makeup after a certain age. And some of the tips I think are ridiculous because first of all, I don't have to follow anybody's rules. Follow your own rules. How do you want to look? And that's the rule you follow. Nobody else's rule should apply. But I don't mind getting tips and ideas and suggestions and thoughts that I might not have had, especially because I don't really have a lot of time for this. I mean, I like makeup, but I don't wallow in it. I have my routine, my product. Let's go. I don't have really the time or the inclination.
I don't have time to wallow, but otherwise I would wallow.
I mean, it's fun to look at it, but again, for me, I want it to work and work fast. So this kind of aha moment was like, whoa, what had worked for many years, my system, I never do thick, heavy makeup, but I would kind of almost paint my makeup on like sheer layers of watercolor. Well, your skin gets textured. You're going to get one layer.
So what do
you better make it work in one layer. And find the right products. The oil control product, which many of us, I still was using from from my teens.
Yeah, but the skin gets dry.
But my skin was still oily, having the appearance of being oily. So anyway, that had to go. Oil control had to go because it is too drying.
Yeah.
It's drying, and now your foundation is like cracking, and you're looking 5 years older, and no, that's like very counterproductive to even putting this on. So finding the appropriate products that were hydrating enough, that just bonded to the skin well, and also realizing less is more. I think as the skin, and any article you read on this, they're going to tell you, when the skin is textured, anything going on there is going to have a tendency to accentuate that texture. People, that's just life. We can't expect makeup to do miracles. That's an unrealistic expectation. You're going to throw a lot of money down a non-existent rabbit hole if you think that's going to work. So yes, I have changed my makeup trying to find the right product, a lighter application. In some cases, like I don't want any shimmer or glitter anymore. I want it in a separate product that I can apply very delicately, but I have not totally, but largely, I don't want to buy a lot of makeup anyway. I know how much I need to use. I don't want to be wasting money and have it sitting around in boxes just getting old. But like nude shadows that are matte. That's what I love. That's like my holy grail now. I'm always looking for that. And trying to find the perfect lipstick color or something, but a much lighter touch. And that's part of why I go out with less now, because frankly, it's more flattering. It's more becoming. It's more natural. It looks better, and
yeah. I think my thoughts also are definitely along a more youthful look avenue, and I totally understand what you're saying. I've never used really a lot of product on my face, like full makeup base or anything like this, just the colors mostly. But even here, your less is more. I totally noticed it too. So now, like, I have this cat eye, right? I don't use any color at all at the bottom of my eye. Makes me more trustworthy too. Like I will use white pencil, which I have right now, on the waterline around my eye to make the eye bigger and kind of more open, but absolutely no dark color underneath, no eyeshadows. just makes you kind of look more worn out. I don't know. I can't say I'm getting old,
Right.
but it does make you look more tired or worn out. Same with very light touch for the shape of the eyebrow or lips.
Yeah.
I wear only very, very light lipstick most of the time, just for that kind of like fresh look. And I experimented at some point. I was kind of thinking, maybe I should just experiment with permanent makeup. So I experimented. I had extremely high quality permanent makeup done as a background of my eyebrows because of my complete blondness, right? You do need, eyebrows is something that you need on your face
Yes.
for expressivity. And I have a whole history with it. My eyebrows, they used to be a little bit closer together. And at some point, which was many years ago, when I first ran into the facial features and the way they perceived, the trustworthiness issue, I had my eyebrows shaped to move them farther apart, to create more, again, open kind of look, to make them slant less down, but more up. And so then I went ahead and had this, tattoo done in a very light shade for my blondness under the eyebrows. The problem with that, as I discovered, is that you need to retouch it every about 2 years. After 2 years, because we put all sorts of products on our face, I will be using maybe glycolic acid wash just to keep my face fresh or something like that. So next thing you know, there was nothing left after 2 years. So that is not a solution at all. You can't cut corners on makeup. If you're using makeup, then you're using. You just come up with this very simple routine, and you kind of keep applying this very, very simple routine. And yes, I guess you make mistakes from time to time. We all see pictures that we would prefer were not taken. It does happen.
But you learn from them.
Yeah, you learn from them.
And sometimes, too, with some of this advice, like when I first had my kind of wake-up moment, and then I got like really panicked, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to look like, I'm trying to look too young and I'm trying too hard. And I actually think I let my pendulum swing too far in that direction, and I'd say for maybe 4 months, I probably wasn't wearing enough makeup to look really my best for some of our film projects that were going on. I was like, just so afraid, oh, be careful with the brows, be careful with the black liner. And no, then I kind of came to my senses, like, wait a minute, again, it's my face. I haven't lost my mind here. I haven't lost my eyes. I just need to get the magnifying mirror and magnifying glasses and look carefully at my face and deal with what's here and still present it in the way that I find most becoming. Hey, I'm still going to use my black eyeliner, but not every day. Because every day to me, that's one of the first things I switched out to, like a medium brown. My eyes are still perfectly adequately defined for my preferences, but it's not harsh and it's not that little bit too strong. And with us both being in the belly dance field for so long, I've known many wonderful dancers, beautiful women, but you'll see them anywhere and it's that heavy, completely rimmed eyes in black. And wow, you'd look younger if you didn't have all that and you switched it out to brown when you're out in 3 o'clock afternoon sun on the sidewalk, But the black eyeliner, sure, it still comes out if I'm going out to a club or something. So, yeah, take the advice, weigh it on your own face, do what you want.
Yeah, I actually want, just to finish, right? I want to go back to what you just said, that there are no rules, that the only rules are the rules that you create for yourself. I think this is like the ultimate wisdom, because I remember as a young girl, learning to do makeup and everything, and, from time to time you fall into the trap of reading fashion magazines, which I never do, and, unless I'm just terrified of turbulence on a plane. But otherwise, no, it's like bad stuff that is intended to make you feel bad about yourself, and, buy products or follow some sort of stupid bitches teaching you that, oh, the fashion police, the makeup police is going to come and you have a little bit too much liner around your lips, and you're like, What bitches? Come on, this is unbelievable. The only rules that are the rules that you set for yourself in makeup more than in anything else.
Yeah.
Because even at the most autopilot mode, when we're like out of the door taking a kid to school, it is still art. It's a little tiny glimpse of art that is with us every day.